Hello. So, what is loving detachment? Hi, I'm Beth Rowles. I'm a relationship coach and I help dedicated, driven moms use their relationship to learn more about themselves so that they can create the relationships they want without leaving the ones they're in. So, I want to talk about loving detachment. This one's really important to me because when I started this works, really getting deep in my personal growth work through conscious parenting, I was taking training with Dr. Shafali Saberi, the author of The Conscious Parent, and I was learning so much and learning how to be detached and on the breath and present in the moment. And it was all beautiful, but it wasn't quite right. See, there's a difference between being present in the moment and not attached to the outcome and not being lovingly detached or non-attached from your spouse or even your child. So attachment is when our happiness really depends on the other. We're like super enmeshed. It's healthy when you have an infant or a really young child. They really need to know that they're kind of like part of you and you're going to protect them and keep them safe. Obviously, a grown man is not going to be attached to you in that way, but there is still a level of healthy attachment where you know that you two are like committed. You're in this relationship together and you're not enmeshed, but you're still in it together. You're within the circle of this family unit together and you care about each other. And this is where I get really confused because in consciousness, we talk about unity consciousness or oneness consciousness, this truth that we are all energy from the same source and we are all connected, and how I feel and the work that I do affects you and how you feel in the work that you do. That's 100% true. But then this idea that we can just move on from people that are taking us out of our Zen state, people who are taking us out of consciousness. I don't buy it. That's not true. That's not how it works. If somebody is taking us out of it, then we need to figure out why we're being taken out of it. Now, if they're a casual friend, or if they're violating your boundaries, or if being there and supporting them enables them to not grow, that certainly is one thing. And that's a discussion for another day. But for most of us in a typical relationship where we just hate our husband's faces and he's driving us nuts and we don't really like it anymore, but we can't really figure out what it is. And it feels like it's all him, but we're not being abused. He's not in a heavy addiction. There's not some other serious issue going on that we need to address. We can't be just detached from the situation. We can't just sit there and accept, oh, he's angry. He's being unconscious. You need to go meditate. Like, that's what I was doing, and that's not how it works. Detachment is knowing where the end of my boundary is and where yours begins. So, yes, it's knowing that he's angry and he needs to do work. But because I love him and because I recognize our oneness, I'm going to help him regulate his emotions, just like I would help a child, because human connection depends on empathy. And without empathy, I cannot help him get from point A to point B. If he doesn't have the resources like I did to deconstruct, to talk to a coach or another person with empathy, then he's not going to move through it. And we can only increase other people's consciousness through our own love. And the way we share that is through our energy and through empathy. So once I understood that I still needed to be in a state of love and not just detachment, then I understood how to change what was happening in my marriage. Because then I could say, without judging and calling it unconscious, then I could say, It seems like you feel really unappreciated at work. Not judging it, not telling him that it was unconscious that he felt unappreciated at work, not telling him that he was in victim mindset and felt blamed or felt like he should blame others for how he felt, but actually putting myself in his shoes, given his experience and his current level of consciousness, understanding how he felt, and then helping him to see himself, basically reflecting it for him with love. It seems like you feel this, repeating back a few phrases of what he just said, whatever it was, oh, they took that away from you. Letting him talk more, letting him talk it out, being a loving reflection for him, helping him to understand his experience. And the best book that helped me with this is called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. This is actually not a book about empathy. At least he says it's not, but it really is. And it's really the best one that I've read because it gives you all the tactics rather than going really into the work that you have to do, because it was written by an FBI negotiator, and he had to use these skills to talk people off the ledge to actually save lives. He knew that these people who took hostages were in incredibly heightened emotional states and that they would not be able to make logical decisions until they had come out of those emotional states. And he knew that the only way to get them out of those was to give them the empathy and reflection they needed to process and feel the feelings so that they could move into their prefrontal cortex and then start to have the logical discussion about what were the options, what did they really want out of the situation. Once they felt heard, seen, and understood, they could move forward together. And your husband or your child is not going to move forward with you until they feel heard, seen, and understood. And let me also tell you this, you are not going to be able to give them this until you get it and give it to yourself. So if you have no idea how to do this with yourself, you need to work with a coach like me or a therapist or somebody who can help you with this process first so that you are fully taking care of yourself and in a place where you have the feeling of your wholeness, where you have good energetic boundaries, where you feel resourced and are not going to be on the defensive. Because one thing that Chris Voss never was defensive. He was there to be a mirror to help the hostage taker through their emotions so that they could actually work together to get to a solution that didn't cost anybody their life. You may not feel like you're in a life or death situation right now, but if you have children, you are, because divorcing a parent, a divorce to a child, divorcing your child's other parent is as traumatic to them as the death of that parent. It creates a lot of negative consequences in their life. I've got lots of research on this. If you want to learn more about it, you can watch my video, Ending Divorce Culture. But you kind of are in this life or death situation. So I encourage you to get whatever you need in order to be that lovingly detached, empathetic spouse that can hold your husband where he is so that he can get through to the other side. And you've got to be able to give it to yourself so you can meet him there. So that's the difference between just being completely detached from the situation, spiritually bypassing the whole thing, and being lovingly detached, being lovingly within your boundaries, but there to help another person grow. I so hope this helped. Find me at bethrowles.com. You can book a 30-minute fitting call with me totally for free. We'll talk about your family and what your next steps are. See you soon. Bye.